salespeople tend to command some of the highest salaries in any organization that they're in.
I can see the whole wide world with these two eyes, and I can be whoever I want to be, 'cause it's my life.
Hi, thanks for joining us for another episode of Ask Spurrell CPA. Today is the Edmonton Business Coach. We're talking about how all entrepreneurs must do sales. Again, as the Edmonton Business Coach, we're talking about how all entrepreneurs must do sales. And I have Michael here with me today. Michael, have you seen any businesses that are particularly bad at sales before?
I don't think so, no.
No? You haven't seen any businesses, none that stay around that are bad at sales, right? Yeah, so the quote, Peter Drucker, he wrote 39 business books, and he says the line that sticks with me: nothing happens until someone sells something. Everyone thinks they have a business, but until they sell something, they don't really have a business. They just have some expenses. The statistic that we have are 50% of all Canadian business will go out of business in the first 5 years, and 42% of these failed businesses will list the inability to attract enough customers as one of the primary reasons for their failure, making the inability to attract customers as the most common reason for business failure. And the story that we see is, business owners think that they can hire people or outsource the sales functions of their business, especially in the early stages of those businesses. But even eventually, that's what they think, and it's a false assumption. So, Michael, what are the questions that these business owners should be asking?
If you can't sell, will you be good at recruiting talented employees?
Here it is. So if you want someone to work for you, getting someone to work for you is very similar to getting someone to buy from you. So if you say, I'm just a bad salesperson, I can't sell anything, guess what? You're also going to have problems recruiting that person to sell for you, because those two traits or skills are very similar. So if you're saying you're a bad salesperson, that you have zero sales skills, and maybe you don't want to be the salesperson, but you're probably going to have to brush up your sales skills at least to a minimal level, because even recruiting people is going to be difficult if you don't have any sales skills.
Is getting staff to buy into a mission a lot like selling to customers?
Yeah, so now you have them, but you have to get them to buy into a mission. You have to get the buy into the vision. It comes down to influence. And if you can't sell, chances are you can't influence. And if you can't influence, chances are you can't lead a team. So if we talk about those powers of influence, those sales skills, those are the same skills that you're going to use basically to get a team to execute your mission and vision. So they're very similar.
Is it common for talented salespeople to command some of the highest salaries?
Yeah, so you're thinking about trying to outsource the sales functions, or maybe one of your first hires planned, or an early hire that you're planning as a salesperson. Salespeople tend to command some of the highest salaries in any organization that they're in. So you start looking at the payrolls of bigger companies, and the people who are highly paid are often, salespeople. So we think about, the first problem of business is not recruiting enough customers, and the second problem of business is running out of cash. Well, if you're planning to outsource the sales stuff and get that off your plate, that's one of the most expensive things to get off your plate.
Is it normally cheaper to add technical staff or salespeople?
So normally it's cheaper, rather than add the salesperson, you can add more technical staff to give you more time to do the sales functions as the business owner. That tends to be cheaper. To add one person in most businesses to do the technical work. Some are different. I mean, if you're a high-level medical physician or something like that, it can be different. But a lot of businesses, the technical staff are cheaper than the salespeople working there. So if you can add a technical help, to take you away from some of the day-to-day, some of the heavy lifting, that will free you up to have more time to do some sales functions, and that technical staff is cheaper than the sales staff that you added.
Are salespeople normally have personality traits that make them hard to manage?
Yes. Experienced salespeople, if you're bringing someone in without any training or systems and they're an experienced salesperson, one of the values of being a salesperson, you have to be persistent. With persistence comes with stubbornness. And if you are a person who struggles with influencing people or being, bold and a little bit extroverted, you're going to have a little bit of difficulty in managing salespeople. You think that I can add the salespeople, but A, it's hard to recruit if you can't sell. B, salespeople are probably more expensive than the technical staff that could free up the same time in your schedule. And if you can't sell and you do find one of these people and you are able to lead them and get them to buy in your mission, they're statistically difficult to manage. That just comes with some of the personality traits of salespeople.
Is it even harder to manage salespeople if you don't have sales skills?
Yeah, and if you don't have the skills, forget about the personality, but let's just look at the actual skills. What are the processes you want them to follow? Now you're continually deferring, and I would say not just deferring, you're abdicating your responsibility as a business owner onto the sales position, which is one of the most important roles in your organization. So again, it's sales is one of those things that if you want to be an entrepreneur, I think you need to put some effort into it to learn it. You may not be the best, but you need to get to a satisfactory level in this area.
Can you systematize sales?
Yeah, so a lot of people they think that sales is just this ad lib continuous cycle of improvisation. But sales, like effective sales processes, can be built. So if it works once, you should do it every time. So if there's a better way to present your product or service to a potential customer, if you keep hammering on that way and refining that way over and over and over again, you can get the perfect way. Where if you got a customer in front of you, you know that if I present it this way, this has the best shot at it. We've tested it. You'll never get it perfect. You're going to miss a couple, that maybe your process isn't the right thing for. But if you systematize it, you just increase your odds, right? You're no longer guessing. It's no longer off the cuff. You can build more detail into the sales process. So you 100% can systematize sales, which tends to make it, once business owners figure out that, they can get less intimidated by the sales function, because they know might not be good at it, but if I keep working at it, I can refine the process and then just repeat that process over and over and have success at it.
If you develop an effective sales process, can you reduce the cost of sales staff?
Yeah, so now if you can do this process, now you can take someone who might not be a super experienced sales professional. You're going to be able to get that person a lot cheaper and execute a system that's probably more reliable. So you're just going to reduce the cost of, if you're thinking about, the first hire is a salesperson, chances are the first hire in your organization should be something other than a salesperson. And you should be trying to figure out that sales processes. And once you figure out those sales processes, now you can generally get someone at a little cheaper price point who can execute an effective system.
Why is simplicity so important in sales?
Making buying decisions is difficult. People, a lot of times, they don't want to purchase stuff because they're scared. And the more complicated you make it to them, the scarier it gets. So right down to your product offering, to your pricing, to explaining what you're going to do for the customer, the simpler you can make it, the better. The more likely the customer is to purchase it. And the simpler the sales process is, the easier it is to teach someone else how to do it or how to assist on it. So it's just the line that we've heard before is simplicity scales and complexity fails. So it's right from training your people to do the sales to presenting an offer in front of the customers that they can understand and choose to go with you. But the more complex you make it, the less quality results that you should expect.
Why is empathy so important in sales?
So empathy, it all comes down to influence. And empathy is one of the most powerful tools we have at our disposal to influence another human being. So if you just jump right into your pitch and you just start explaining the features and benefits of your product or service, you're not going to have that much luck, really. And it's not luck. You're just not going to have that much success. When it comes to empathy, if you take some time to know who you're selling to, and what have their experiences been, what they're looking for now, and if you can empathize with that person, if you can start to understand what's going on in their head in the buying decision. Maybe they have bad experiences before, maybe they're super excited to get this done quickly, whatever it is. Then when you start, if you do that first, then when you start presenting the benefits and the features of your product or service, you're going to be able to accentuate the things that they've identified are important to them. And if you start accentuating the things that are important to them, when you ask them for that sale, now that person is likely to say yes, because you simply told them that you're going to solve the problem that they have. So how could they say no? I mean, that was why they were here. They met with you in the first place. They knew you were selling something. But now they know that you understand, what their issues are, what their concerns are, what their objectives were. And, you're just simply, when you're presenting the products and features, some of them are going to be irrelevant to them probably, and some of them are going to be the whole reason why they're there in the first place. So empathy is one of the most important tools we have at our disposal for sure in sales. So I think that's what we have here today. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, please hit the like and subscribe button so we continue to deliver you tips on how to beat the odds at business. And as always, please leave us some comments below so we can respond back and know what you'd like us to cover in future videos. Thanks very much.